This is a story that took place in World War II. I hope you will fall asleep listening to it. It began not with thunder, but with silence. The world in 1939 was scarred, but still healing from the wounds of the First World War. People were rebuilding, dreaming again. Factories hummed, children laughed, nations promised never again. But under the surface, anger, hunger, and pride were boiling. One man in Germany, a failed artist turned dictator, dreamed not of peace, but of power. Adolf Hitler promised his people greatness, revenge, and a world reborn under the swastika. And the world wasn't ready for what came next. The spark? September 1st, 1939. At dawn on September 1st, 1939, German tanks roared across the Polish border. In the sky, the Luftwaffe screamed like demons as bombs fell over Warsaw. Civilians ran for shelter. Soldiers fought hopelessly against a machine built for domination. 2 days later, Britain and France declared war on Germany. The world was at war again, but few could imagine that this war would engulf every continent, claim more than 70 million lives, and forever reshape what it means to be human. The rise of the Axis. Germany moved like lightning, a tactic called blitzkrieg or lightning war. Poland fell in weeks. Then came Denmark, Norway, Belgium, the Netherlands, and finally France. By mid-1940, the Nazi flag flew across nearly all of Western Europe. Britain stood alone. As German bombers darkened the sky, London burned in the Blitz. Families huddled in underground shelters while Churchill's voice echoed over the radio. "We shall fight on the beaches. We shall never surrender." Across the ocean, the United States watched, cautious, distant, but uneasy. President Franklin D. Roosevelt knew neutrality couldn't last forever. "The only thing we have to fear," he had said, "is fear itself." But fear was spreading faster than hope. The world caught fire, 1941. While Europe bled, Japan was rising in the east. Driven by ambition and hunger for resources, the Japanese Empire invaded China and Southeast Asia. Their soldiers marched under the rising sun, believing they were destined to rule the Pacific. Then came December 7th, 1941. A quiet Sunday morning in Hawaii turned into hell. Pearl Harbor. Japanese planes dove out of the clouds, raining fire and steel. Battleships exploded. Sailors leapt into burning oil-covered water. More than 2,400 Americans died in less than 2 hours. The next day, Roosevelt spoke with a trembling but steady voice. Yesterday, December 7th, 1941. A date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was now at war. The world divides. The world split into two sides. The Allies, the United States, Britain, the Soviet Union, China, and others. The Axis, Germany, Italy, and Japan. It was no longer a war for land, it was a war for humanity itself. Every factory, every farm, every heart was drafted into the fight. American women filled the factories. Rosie the Riveter became the symbol of strength. Men left their homes, wives, and children to fight across oceans. Ration cards replaced abundance. Hope became a weapon. The Eastern Front, the frozen hell. In June 1941, Hitler made his greatest mistake. He invaded the Soviet Union. Millions of German soldiers crossed into Russia, expecting victory in months. But they found an enemy fiercer than they imagined, and a winter colder than death. In the ruins of Stalingrad, the Soviet Red Army made its stand. Street by street, building by building, soldiers and civilians fought, starved, and froze. Mothers buried their children under snow, then picked up rifles to fight. By February 1943, Germany's undefeated army was shattered. Stalingrad became the turning point, the day the Nazi war machine began to bleed. The Holocaust, the darkest chapter. While soldiers fought on the front lines, another horror unfolded behind barbed wire. Hitler's regime began what he called the final solution. 6 million Jews, along with millions of others, were rounded up, deported, and murdered in concentration camps. Men, women, and children, stripped of names, reduced to numbers. Gas chambers replaced battlefields. Ashes replaced graves. In Auschwitz, Treblinka, Sobibor, humanity was tested and failed. And yet, even there, resistance lived. Whispers of rebellion, acts of courage, people who risked everything to save one life. When Allied soldiers finally liberated the camps in 1945, they wept at what they saw. The world promised again, never forget. The Pacific War, fire and fury. Across the Pacific, a different kind of war raged. Island by island, the United States fought to push Japan back. Places like Guadalcanal, Iwo Jima, Okinawa, names that would be written in blood and bravery. The jungle was hell, heat, disease, and a relentless enemy who would rather die than surrender. On Iwo Jima, 7,000 Americans fell, but the flag was raised, and hope soared with it. Each victory brought the Allies closer to Japan, but also to a terrible decision. The invasion of Europe, D-Day. June 6, 1944, D-Day, the largest invasion in human history. Before dawn, 156,000 Allied troops crossed the English Channel toward the beaches of Normandy, France. As landing craft opened, bullets tore through the surf. Men ran, stumbled, and fell, but wave after wave kept coming. By nightfall, the beaches were taken. Europe had a heartbeat again. From that day forward, the Allies marched toward Berlin. The walls of Hitler's empire began to crumble. The fall of Berlin, the end in Europe. In the spring of 1945, Soviet forces stormed Berlin. The city was a wasteland, bombed, burned, broken. Civilians hid in basements. Children carried rifles. Hitler, trapped in his bunker, refused to surrender. On April 30th, 1945, he took his own life. The swastika fell. The guns grew silent. On May 8th, 1945, V-Day, victory in Europe. People danced in the streets of London, Paris, and New York. But the war was not over yet. Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the atomic shadow. In the Pacific, Japan still fought fiercely. American leaders faced a brutal choice: invade Japan and lose millions more lives, or unleash a weapon the world had never seen. On August 6, 1945, a single bomb fell on Hiroshima. In seconds, the city vanished in light and fire. 3 days later, Nagasaki. More than 200,000 civilians perished. And in that blinding light, humanity entered the nuclear age. On August 15th, Japan surrendered. World War II, the deadliest conflict in human history, was finally over. Aftermath, the world rebuilt. But peace came at a cost too heavy to measure. More than 70 million lives lost. Cities reduced to dust. Families broken across continents. Yet, out of that devastation, a new world began to form. The United Nations was born, built on a single hope that nations could talk before they fought. The United States and the Soviet Union emerged as superpowers, their uneasy rivalry giving birth to the Cold War. Europe rebuilt through the Marshall Plan, while millions of refugees searched for home. The Holocaust survivors rebuilt their lives, some in silence, some by speaking for the dead. And humanity, shaken, scarred, but still standing, began again. The legacy, what World War II taught the world. World War II changed everything. Technology, politics, borders, even the idea of what civilization means. It showed humanity's best, and its worst. It proved how far people could fall and how high they could rise. Ordinary men and women did extraordinary things. Farmers became soldiers. Mothers became mechanics. Strangers became heroes. From the ashes of cities rose movements for freedom, equality, and human rights. The war gave us radar, rockets, computers, and the conscience to ask if progress always means good. It forced the world to look inward, to remember that peace is not given. It's earned, every generation. Closing, the echo of the past. 80 years later, the echoes of that war still live around us, in the veterans who salute with trembling hands, in the memorials carved with endless names, and in the silence that follows the word never again. World War II was not just a story of generals and battles. It was a story of humanity itself, of what happens when hatred wins, and what it takes for love, courage, and unity to fight back. So remember the lesson written in the ashes of 1945. Peace is fragile. Freedom is not free. And the next chapter of history is written by what we choose to do now. I hope you learned a lot of things you didn't know, and if you are new to this channel, please subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts in the comments. What did you learn from this video?